Black and Gold Report here on RPIII and Company.
TJ, good morning, brother.
Hey, how you doing, RP3?
I'm doing well, man. I wasn't going to ask you how you're doing because I already know you're not doing well. That's I'm trying to be considerate. All right. If I would have told you last week, TJ, that the Saints would have held Tom Brady under 200 yards passing, that the leading wide receiver would have been Cameron Brate with only 50 yards, that Mike Evans would only have one catch, that Antonio Brown would only have one catch, you would have told me what about the outcome of this game?
I would have told you I'll see you in Lambeau. You know, that's what I would have told you. You know, you look at this New Orleans Saints team, and, you know, you can't too much blame the defense. I mean, the defense really did an outstanding job. I mean, I was just looking at the stat line just before we got on, and I'm looking, and I'm like, if you look at some of these stats, you would think that the Saints would have won this football game. But, I mean, when you turn the ball over 4 times, most of the time when, you know, Tampa Bay get the ball back off a turnover is close to the red zone or in the red zone, the defense is playing behind the 8 ball. So, I mean, you can't blame the defense for allowing Tom Brady to be Tom Brady, and you can't really blame them for allowing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get into the end zone. I mean, that was a really tough task for them. So, I mean,
TJ, let me ask you this. Why did the air just get let out of this team after that Jared Cook fumble? Great teams, championship-winning teams, are able to overcome a mistake like that, a miscue. They're able to push through it. And after that happened, the Saints were a shell of themselves the rest of the game. Why? Why with a team with so many veterans, did that happen?
Well, I just think that it was just the momentum. You know, like you had opportunity to go right ahead in the second half. You know, you come out great. I mean, I'm talking about great offensive drive. You get into the end zone, you get that 3 and out, and then you get the ball back. And, you know, you're looking at how the game is going. I mean, you're going through the ebb and flows of the game, and all of a sudden, you know, you have a fumble like that. I mean, that just, like you said, took the wind out of their sails. And, you know, I mean, they're human at the end of the day. You know, I mean, you can talk about how great this football team is, and they were a great football team. They're one of the best teams in the league. But when you're turning the ball over, you know, on drive after drive, and you seem like you know, trying to find a rhythm, and all of a sudden, you know, rhythm gets cut short because somebody fumbles, I mean, it would hurt or bother, you know, even the best of the team. So I just think they felt like, you know, they had everything in front of them, and all of a sudden it just kind of slipped out of their hands.
TJ, what'd you make of what you saw from Drew Brees yesterday?
You know, I have to say, you know, this may sound kind of controversial, but, you know, I really feel like Drew Brees really didn't put forward a Drew Brees-like performance. And, you know, in the Who Dat Nation, you have a lot of Drew Brees apologists out there who, which I completely understand. You know, Drew Brees has brung legitimacy to the New Orleans Saints organization over the past 15 years. But sometimes I feel like people look at Drew Brees with rose-colored glasses and they don't want to criticize him. Some of the 2 of those interceptions, you know, that he threw, I mean, you have to wonder, like, what was he thinking? And you have to also look at his stats during the postseason. I mean, Drew Brees has thrown, 11 interceptions, you know, in 10 postseason games. I mean, that's unbelievable right there. You know, that you expect the great quarterback to play great football when it matters most. And as great as Drew Brees has been in a Saints uniform, I mean, he, over the past couple of years, he has not played at an elite level in a postseason.
We're talking with TJAY Jones, host of the State of the Saints podcast. He joins us here on the Twin Peaks Hotline for the Black and Gold Report. All right, bud. I know it's the day after, but it's another playoff loss for the Saints and another one at home. And it's the 3rd straight year they've been eliminated at home inside the Superdome. And with all the talent that they've had, they have not been able to put together a run. Is this comparable? Is this disappointment like what it was for the Atlanta Braves in the 90s, where you only get the one championship despite putting together great teams and having great players and Hall of Fame players. Is that how we're going to look at this moving forward, or does the one championship just kind of take over everything else, all the negatives and all the disappointments?
Well, I feel this way. Anybody that's just bragging on the 2009 championship, you're just trying to get, I guess, like the opposing teams that, fan bases off your back. This is a team that has underachieved over the past 4 seasons. I dare any New Orleans Saints fan to go around the league, in its 101 years that it's been formed, and find me a better draft class than that 2017 draft class. Alvin Kamara, Marcus Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Hendrickson. The list goes on and on. You can even add in Alex Anzalone. There is no draft class that has contributed the way that draft class contributed, and also Ryan Ramczyk. And you would expect for a team to have a draft class like that when you have guys that are in rookie deals to go out there and perform. And you look at the Saints 2017 Minneapolis Miracle, 2018 Los Angeles Rams controversial 9 call, 2019 wet in the bed against the Minnesota Vikings, and now this year, you lose another one. The Saints have best regular season record in the NFL over the last 4 seasons, but they're also the first team in NFL history to have over 45 wins in a 4-year span and never reach the Super Bowl. RPIII, Who Dat Nation, Saints fans all across the country and in the state of Louisiana, you have to admit to yourself, this team has underperformed and they have underachieved, and they have to go down in history as one of the biggest underachieving teams in NFL history.
TJ, this team's going to look a lot different moving forward as well, right? Dan Campbell, who coaches the tight ends, and assistant head coach, he's going to take over as the head coach with the Detroit Lions. Terry Fontenot, he's going to take over as the new general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. And it looks like Ryan Nielsen, defensive line coach, is going to be the new defensive coordinator for LSU. So your front office, your coaching staff's going to look different. Drew Brees is retiring. Other guys are going to have contracts that are going to be up. How drastically different is this team going to look next season?
It's going to look completely different. One thing that we all loved about this team this season was the fact that it was so deep. When guys go down, you can count on the next man to really step up. Sometimes when teams say, it's the next man up mentality, there's a huge drop-off, when one player goes down. But this was a deep team. You look at the game versus the Carolina Panthers. You had people like Ken Crawley coming off the bench, and, you had people that was undrafted rookies and that was on the practice squad catching interceptions. This was a deep football team. But now when you're dealing with the salary cap, when you're like close to almost $100 million over the salary cap, this team is going to look different. You're going to probably be able to keep some of your, some of your star players like the Lattimores and the Ramczyks, but some of those players that, that you fit in between that you have for depth are probably going to have to move on, or they're going to move on to greener pastures. So this team is going to look different. But I believe in Sean Payton. I believe in the front office. Even though Terry Fontenot, who has done an outstanding job as an assistant GM, you still have Jeff Ireland, you still have Mickey Loomis, and you still have Sean Payton as the play caller. And I believe in Sean Payton. I think that Sean Payton is going to rise to the occasion. I think that he's going to accept the challenge of life after Drew Brees, and I think he's going to try to do his best to make sure that this team continue to be a contender. And make no mistake about it, I feel like the New Orleans Saints are still going to be a legitimate football team. We just won't have number 9 under center anymore.
TJ, was it just emotion of the moment of his career coming to an end, or do you think that Jameis Winston is going to be the next guy when Drew Brees says on the telecast, you see it during the game when you're watching the game, that, this team is yours now? He's not under contract. Jameis is not under contract, but do you think Jameis Winston is going to be in the black and gold in 2021 season?
Oh, absolutely. I really feel like Sean Payton loves Jameis Winston. One thing that, I noticed, I was listening to Sean Payton. He was on a podcast, and he was talking about Jameis Winston. I mean, he talked about Taysom Hill, but I mean, he really talked very highly of Jameis Winston, and I really feel like Sean Payton loves those projects. He loves to be that guy to say, you know, I seen something in this guy that you all didn't see, and look what I got out of him. I mean, you have to even look at what Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees was a 6-foot-tall, 209-pound quarterback with a busted arm. And, you know, with the help of Sean Payton, Drew Brees is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And I just feel like Sean Payton likes what he sees in Jameis Winston. And, I mean, as a Saints fan, you know, you have to like what you see in Jameis Winston. And I understand he had the 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. We make jokes about the whole 30 for 30 thing. But one thing you can say about Jameis Winston, I mean, he doesn't lack confidence. The team that's there right now, they like him. And I just feel like with the help of Sean Payton to guide him, and he doesn't have that number one overall pick, you know, he has to carry a franchise on his back. I think Jameis Winston can become a better version of himself. And so I don't think he's going anywhere.
All right, TJ, we get you out of here with this, brother. What should be the biggest what's the biggest offseason priorities for the Saints?
I mean, it's plain and simple. You got to get a better linebacker. Alex Anzalone, Fabio, as a lot of people like to call him. I mean, he was getting picked on in his game. I think we've seen enough, you know, of him. I think that you need to move on from him. I think the Saints need to get a better linebacker. I think Quan Alexander was a godsend in the middle of the season, but he does have a tendency of getting hurt, so you can't really count on him throughout a 16-game season. He hasn't shown that. You got to get yourself a linebacker. You got to get yourself a guy that you know that can you know, guard the tight ends and guard the running backs and be a sideline to sidelines and complement the Mario Davis. And also you got to get yourself another cornerback. I mean, Janoris Jackrabbit Jenkins, who did an outstanding job against Antonio Brown in this game, but he is getting older. He's about 32 or 33 years old. So you have to get a little bit younger in the secondary, especially when you're probably not going to be able to keep some of the guys that you have. Marcus Williams might end up, you know, leaving if he can't get a contract negotiated with the New Orleans Saints. And, you know, I just feel like they need to get a little bit more physical at the linebacker position because Alex Anzalone, in the words of Sean Payton, we were talking about Jamal Brown back in 2012. I've seen enough, man.
TJ, real quick question. Are you going to be helping pack up Jared Cook's belongings into the U-Haul truck as he leaves town?
Look, man, I like Jared Cook. You know, I have to let you know, RP3. I'm going to be real. This is something that I noticed. If you notice, Jared Cook has had like 2 concussions in the last couple of years. And when he first came to the New Orleans Saints, he was fearless going across the middle. And I think ever since that game, I want to say against the 49ers when he was knocked out of the game, he hasn't been the same. You know, like every time I see him like catch a pass, it's like he kind of flinches. And regardless of if we want to believe it or not, I feel like his confidence in, you know, in himself to, you know, catch a pass over the middle, his confidence to try to, you know, be that threat down the field, I think he kind of lost that. And not to mention, I mean, he's, you know, he's on the other side of 30 right now. He's about 33 years old. So,
TJ, my man had a ball hit him in the chest, and it bounced off. Not a good look, bud. Not a good look. But I agree with you. After he got his bell rung against the 49ers last year, he's never really been the same since then. TJ, got to go, bud. Appreciate your time. Keep up the great things with the State of the Saints podcast, brother, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. You take it easy, man. Thanks for having me.